You will be my instrument.
Who are you?
Let's talk about Gladiator II, which is the latest film from Ridley Scott, which is a continuation of Gladiator, which came out in 2000. But I will tell you, I've been a fan of Ridley Scott's latest work. I know a lot of people say that it's kind of gotten a little zany, a little out there, but I think that we are truly seeing an artist making the work he wants to make and without any restraints, if you will. This is a film that stars Paul Mescal as the aforementioned Gladiator. And, you know, Russell Crowe was supposed to apparently come back to this film in some capacity, but that didn't come through. But now we have Paul Mescal, we have Pedro Pascal, we have Denzel Washington, Connie Nielsen, Joseph Quinn, and Fred Hechinger starring in this film, in which we see that after the death of Maximus, we eventually see a new character come through named Hanno, who becomes a slave and then eventually a gladiator. And now we have these tyrannical emperors that are twins taking over Rome, and Rome must be saved. So these twins are Joseph Quinn and Fred Hechinger as Emperor Caracalla, and also we have Emperor Geta. Now, what we see here is that Denzel Washington is a figure that is trying to ascend to the top, right? And he is playing the character of Macrinus. We also learned that Connie Nielsen returns here as her role as Lucia, and we have Pedro Pascal playing General Cassius, who is the Roman general who has been sort of swooping in and taking over as much land as he can for the emperors. Now, when Paul Mescal's character of Hanno is taken in as a slave, he is then taken as Denzel Washington's character of Macrinus, Gladiator, to go fight in the Roman Colosseum. They make a sort of treaty with one another, like, I'll be your gladiator if you give me the head of General Cassius. I want to kill him because General Cassius invaded Hanno's land where he was, and in that effect, his wife died in Numidia, which was where he was from. So he wants to get retribution. What we do know now, however, is that Paul Mescal's character of Hanno is not just a commoner as everybody thought. He is actually Lucius Verus Aurelius, who is the daughter of Lucilla and also the grandson of Emperor Marcus Aurelius. So this kid is pretty much the next in line to become emperor. Now, the two emperors, however, are starting to get pretty power hungry, and so you have the whole thing with Pedro Pascal's character of General Cassius trying to sort of divert away from them and also save Rome by starting an insurrection. However, all of this gets told to Macrinus, who is also trying to ascend to power, and he uses this leverage in order to get into the good side of the emperor. Now we see that Emperor Caracalla and also Emperor Geta are going to execute General Cassius and Lucilla because of this. Now, Macrinus knows that this is going to be a good thing for him because the people of Rome are going to pretty much riot about this, because General Cassius is a Roman general who is seen as a hero. Lucilla is seen as this sort of heiress of sorts, a big figure in Rome because of her father being the emperor before. So he knows that this play is going to be bad for the twin emperors, but he's letting them get to it so he can eventually take them out. Now, what we find out, of course, is that Lucilla knows that Lucius is her son, and she tries to sort of come for him to take another turn, you know, because he's pissed. He says, you never went to look for me, but she says she sent him out for his protection because he would be killed after Commodus's death in the first Gladiator film, because they would want to take out the lineage and all of that, and they didn't want another emperor, you know. So we definitely see that Lucius feels some type of way, and he is then pitted against General Cassius, and General Cassius says he would not do any harm to him because he is Lucilla's son, and also because he respects Maximus, as he just gives up. It looks like Paul Mescal's Lucius doesn't want to do any harm to General Cassius either now, as he has found some respect for him as well and realizes he has just been a man that has been sort of forced to do what he does. And we see, however, that the emperors aren't going to take this, and they kill General Cassius right there. The people of Rome are rioting. They're pissed. They don't like this. An uproar has started, and they want the heads of the emperors. We see Macrinus get to Emperor Caracalla's head and say, you know what, just give him Emperor Geta's head. That's all you need to do, and you'll be scotch-free. He does this, and now we see that Macrinus tells the rest of the Senate, like, hey, Emperor Caracalla there, kind of a little nutty. I don't think we can trust him. Put me in charge, and I'll get things settled right. The final thing that we see Macrinus tell Caracalla to do is to put Lucilla to death in front of the Colosseum and for everybody to see, and also Lucius to save her. That way he can kill two birds with one stone, actually three, because Lucilla and Lucius will be dead. That's two, and Emperor Caracalla will be even hated more by the people of Rome because he has put this great gladiator as well as a previous emperor's daughter to death, and that's going to make his way into ascendage into the emperor of Rome even quicker, which we find out he wants to do because it's retribution for him ultimately being a former slave to Lucilla's father, and he just wants to get retribution for all of that now. So that's the whole plan here for Macrinus. Eventually, however, we see that Paul Mescal's character of Lucius gets the ring from General Acacius, which is given to him by his mother Lucilla, which he then sends out a gladiator doctor to go find the army of General Acacius that has been waiting in order to attack and bring them to Rome. And so on the last day when he's supposed to save his mother in the Colosseum, he also frees the other gladiators and they all go forth because it was going to be an ambush, y'all. Like, it was just going to be an army versus just Lucius trying to save his mother. But now with the other gladiators, he's able to come through and he's able to save her, it seems. That is until Macrinus decides to kill Emperor Caracalla right there and then, and he also then kills Lucilla with a bow, and we see as he leaves on horseback. We then see the two armies going to clash with one another, the ones that were loyal to General Acacius and then the ones that are loyal to the Roman Empire. And as we see Lucius then riding in his horse to try and catch Macrinus, and both armies are about to collide, they eventually find each other in the middle and a pretty intense battle ensues between the two as the two armies look on, and it is just one of those most glorious scenes I've seen, honestly, in a time. Honestly, great to see on IMAX. Eventually, however, Macrinus is then defeated by Lucius as Lucius tells the rest of the armies, can build Rome together. I know everybody's tired of fighting and dying. Let's move on from this. And then he eventually looks to become emperor and the movie ends. So I thought it was definitely an interesting aspect of this movie, the way it was handled. I do think there's a lot of things that sort of tie back to the first Gladiator a bit too much, and it's trying to rely on that movie a lot to sort of hold it up. And I think a lot of people were definitely pissed. We saw this historic people saying that there was no sharks, there was no things like that in Colosseums, and to that I say it's a damn movie, y'all. It's a damn movie. But I definitely do think that it was great the way it was set up, right? You have Lucius, who is trying to sort of get away from Rome and start a new life, and then Rome finds him yet again. And I thought it was such an interesting parallel that it was supposed to be Lucilla that finds Lucius, but 16 years later never came, and he feels that he is betrayed by her, but also Rome in a way, but he still holds that dream his grandfather had about a new Rome that would be great in the future. And you kind of get that sense that he is still sort of trying and vying for that, but it is so much like has happened that he doesn't know if that's a reality or not. And I love that Rome came to grab him and pull him back in and sort of took everything away as well at the same time, because he saw his wife die, he saw Acacius die, who was very much so loyal to his father and has been in love with his mother, and then he got to see his mother die, and it really was such a devastating loss that Lucius had throughout. The other side of the coin, you have Macrinus, who has been dealt a very hard hand, it seems, as he says, by the past emperor who was Lucius' grandfather. So this was very personal with this family, right, that Macrinus wanted to destroy, as well as the city of Rome, who he says doesn't really have any saving. It is just a power-hungry, war-thirsty for blood type like of a society, and so he doesn't really see them having any future, really, as he tells Lucius. And I thought that was such a great way to sort of put this movie with these two people at odds, with these different ideas of the society they're in, and that's just all based on the experience they had, and at the same time seeing how the society itself has crumbled because of the ideas of other men. It is such a very interesting film, I will tell you that. I just didn't really have that much of a good time with it, I think, because there's so much going on, and I think it was the runtime. I feel like this would have been so great as a series, honestly, to really see things unravel, because the political side of this movie was very interesting with the Senate and Macrinus and their ascendage, and it just felt a little bit too rushed at the end, where everything was moving in a direction that was just like, I don't know. I think we should have had a bit of a moving in this already from the beginning, but nonetheless, I still enjoyed the movie. So Hanno was in fact Lucius, the young boy in the first Gladiator film, who was actually the son of Maximus, and Lucilla was then sent off in order to protect him. Then Rome comes to Numidia, where he has set up shop pretty much for the past 16 years, and decides to take his people, and he becomes a slave. Thus he becomes a gladiator, and he tries to battle his way up to kill the general who started the whole ordeal where he used to live. Turns out that general actually wants to make Rome a better place like him, and he's actually married now to his mother, and he is actually loyal to his father. But it looks like Rome doesn't want to change because of these emperors that just want to colonize the whole world pretty much. And so we see that he is then put to death because of that, because he wanted Rome to change and do an insurrection. And this is what kind of gets Lucius to fight back. Macrinus just wanted to get revenge on all of Rome and the emperors, and this is because of the way he was treated, and he thought the best way to do it was to take out the emperors that are there now and take out the royal family, which included Lucilla as well as Lucius. But ultimately, we see that Lucius is able to get the upper hand, not just physically on Macrinus, but also in a way with words, as he gets the rest of the Roman Empire to follow him. Now, we do know that there is a Gladiator III apparently that will continue the adventures of Lucius Verus, and this is something that Ridley Scott has talked about apparently. Now, we don't know just exactly when, as there's a ton of things that apparently Scott is working on, so it could be some time before we see that, and I hope Ridley Scott's able to finish his vision, and I'm very excited to see what that could be. But let me know your thoughts and opinions on the ending of Gladiator 2. Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Are you excited to see what the future may hold? And let me know, which movie did you watch this weekend? Gladiator 2 or Wicked, or both? But make sure you check out our video on Wicked if you haven't already. I'll see all of you next time. As always, stay safe, stay positive.